I'm pleased to be joined today on Health Beat by Dr. Tristan Hartzell, hand, plastic, and reconstructive surgeon with Faith Regional Physician Services, hand, plastic, and reconstructive surgery in Norfolk. And we're talking about pediatric arm fractures. So what are common types of playground equipment often responsible for kids' injuries, and how can they best be safe on those types of things?
I'm glad you asked, Rob. The different equipment can be a pet peeve to me because there's some that's certainly worse than others. And number one by far is trampolines. And my own kids love playing in trampolines, and I know the temptation of playing a trampoline. I want to get in there half the time that I see them jumping around. But by far, that is the most common equipment that I see with kids injured. And so parents think they're helping their kids. They put the walls around the outside of the trampoline. And like, oh, Junior isn't going to fall off of the trampoline out on the ground because he's going to run into the wall first. But what happens, there's a wall in there, and then 10 kids hop in there, and all those 10 kids are constrained within those walls, and then they start falling on each other and breaking their arms. And so I see a lot of elbow fractures, forearm fractures, wrist fractures from that. My kids know that the rule is only one person in the trampoline at a time. With that said, I know that every time I leave, they're breaking that rule. So when parents ask about trampolines, because they have it and they know it's fun for kids, I say try to keep the walls up and try to enforce as few kids as possible in there at any one time.
Sure.
The other common equipment is ripsticks, skateboards, bicycles. I didn't even know what a ripstick was until they started coming in with broken arms. It's like a variation of a skateboard, but it has like a break in the middle, and they can wiggle their hips and go directions that I could never go in. It's almost impossible to prevent breakages in those. Most of the time, kids have the helmet on anyway. You're not going to have a kid wearing an arm brace or an elbow brace and try and prevent an arm fracture. Just common sense with those. The kids are going to use them and try and tell them to just be careful and not be making jump ramps off into the neighbor's backyard that's 10 feet below. And then the third is monkey bars. Mm-hmm. So that's where I see some really bad elbow fractures in little kids that are 2, 3, 4 years old. Basically, they're not quite ready to be on the monkey bar yet. So if your kid isn't facile at the monkey bars and going from one bar to the other easily, just make sure you're spotting them, because they can suffer a really bad elbow fracture that can be a surgical emergency and even cause kids to lose their arm, heaven forbid. So those are the top 3 things that I see causing kids injuries.
Well, thank you, Dr. Hartzell, for joining us today on Health Beat, brought to you by Faith Regional Physician Services.